January 2nd, 1922 opening of the Orpheum Playhouse Theater that would designate Marion's town square as the center for arts and culture in the little southern Illinois town. It's a tradition that continues to thrive more than 100 years later. Breaking ground in 1919, the theater firm of Reed, Yem, and Hayes invested more than $100,000 to open their theater on Marion's town square. The equivalent of more than $2 million in today's dollars, the theater firm enlisted the expertise of the Chicago-based architectural firm of Rapp and Rapp to transform their double-corner lot into the company's flagship theater. Typically credited with much larger profile theater projects, it would be a childhood connection between the Rapp brothers, who were originally from nearby Carbondale, Illinois, and William Hayes of the theater firm, which led to the design of the original Orpheum Playhouse Theater and all of its opulent details. Constructed as a true vaude-film theater, Marion's Orpheum Playhouse was designed to accommodate both live performances along with the presentation of early silent films, both of which were accompanied by the theater's 45-member orchestra, which was conducted by Herbert Rayborn. And for smaller performances, it would be Earl Rogers accompanying with the theater's enormous Wurlitzer organ. Extending the technological achievements of the Rapp brothers' design even further, the theater is credited as Marion's first commercial structure with an early form of air conditioning. Through a series of fans drawing outside air over blocks of ice, patrons could enjoy a cool theater experience even on the hottest day of the year. A system designed so well that it remained in use even after ice was replaced with a condenser coil form of cooling, blowing through the same 1920s Rapp and Rapp design system. In those early days of the Grand Movie Palace, it was still the live performances that drew crowds. Known as a top-notch organization to work with among the vaudeville Orpheum circuit, the Playhouse on Marion's town square attracted a long list of world-class entertainers and performers to the heart of Southern Illinois. With a reputation as a grand showman and constant promoter of Southern Illinois, it would be William Richard Hayes of the Reed, Yem, and Hayes theater firm who would set the bar high by booking only high-profile personalities, acts, and films to headline at their chain of theaters across Little Egypt. And in the spring of 1924, it would be the King of Handcuffs, Harry Houdini, headlining at the Marion Orpheum Playhouse. Typical of the time and reported in the Marion Monitor newspaper, Mr. Houdini shared a public teaser of his talents in front of the theater. Originally had been requested to escape from a cell at the Williamson County Jail next door to the theater, but Mr. Houdini's request was politely declined, leaving the world-famous illusionist to escape from a series of chains and handcuffs while standing in the back of an open delivery truck on Marion's town square. Purchased in 1927 by the Fox Midwest Theater Group out of Kansas City, Missouri, Marion's Movie Palace would undergo the equivalent of a $200,000 renovation. With many physical upgrades to the theater itself, the most notable was the addition of a state-of-the-art sound reproduction system. The new Fox Orpheum Theater reopened with an October 1927 premiere of Al Jolson in The Jazz Singer. Although the sequences with synchronized dialogue were limited and brief, hearing the voices of the film's stars enthralled audiences and marked the end of the silent film era for the theater. In 1939, Marion's Fox Orpheum Theater would face stiff competition bidding for the premiere of the highly anticipated epic Gone with the Wind. But in 1939, the movie's premiere would bring a miniature Hollywood-style opening, complete with searchlights, to Marion's town square. With the highly successful premiere coinciding with the town's centennial celebration, 1939 would be the theater's best year since 1924, when Harry Houdini drew in crowds by slipping out of handcuffs in the back of a Chevy in front of the theater. Through the 1940s and 50s, it would be the Saturday matinees featuring action-packed movie serials that would etch fond memories of the theater in the minds of many who called Marion home. But the increased popularity of television through the 1950s made attracting patrons to the theater increasingly more challenging. The final years of the theater's operation saw multiple owners using all means of marketing gimmicks just to keep the doors open. Eventually, it would be delayed maintenance, leading to a whole list of much-needed repairs, along with what was described as appallingly filthy conditions inside the theater that would lead to the inevitable in 1971, when the Franklin Williamson Bi-County Health Department would force the theater to close its doors for the last time. Over the next couple of years of neglect, the theater's future would become uncertain. After more than 50 years of operation, the grand old theater now stood dark and silent. Residents who had grown up with fond memories of the Orpheum were now watching it deteriorate before their very eyes. Then, in early 1973, news would spread quickly of the city's purchase of the dilapidated theater, with the plans to raze the former movie palace to the ground to make way for a municipal parking lot. Almost immediately, Mayor Robert Butler was approached by a group of concerned citizens led by Jacqueline Hancock, who were intent on saving the former Orpheum Playhouse for use as a cultural and arts center for the benefit of all the residents of Marion. After an engineer's inspection found the theater to be structurally sound, the City Council overwhelmingly voted in favor of appropriating $140,000 towards the building's renovation and conversion into the Marion Cultural and Civic Center. With extensive restoration of the historic theater requiring more than a year to complete, the city and everyone involved in the project proudly invited the public to a special unveiling of the new Cultural Arts Center on August 16, 1974. Quickly becoming an integral part of life in Marion, the center would spend the next 23 years introducing generations of residents to all kinds of cultural events, live performances, and visual arts programs, all hosted by the city's Cultural Arts Center. Through those early formative years of the center's development, it would be Marion native Ray Reynolds who, as director, would successfully steer the theater's programming to include a wide range of events for the community. After decades as the city's theater, first as a glittering movie palace, and then as a popular community theater and arts venue, no one was prepared for the news that would ring out on March 10, 1997. Within a matter of moments, a determined arsonist had reduced the beloved theater into a smoldering ruin. As the building folded into the flames that fateful night, you could feel a big part of the town's collective heart tumbling down with the bricks. Determined to turn the catastrophic loss of downtown's historic theater into something positive, the Marion Cultural and Civic Center Foundation immediately announced their plans to rebuild. The overwhelming and immediate support from the community drove the decision to build back even larger than before. Over the next several years, as the foundation worked to raise needed building funds, the city would acquire the adjoining lots to the east, giving the new theater a prime location on the town square and more than triple the original theater size. Today, more than 50 years after that group of concerned citizens stepped forward to save the town's historic vaude-film theater from the wrecking ball, it has become easier to see the vision they had for this tiny town in Little Egypt. Easy access to Marion's Cultural Arts Center and its programming has educated and entertained the town's citizens for decades, while simultaneously inspiring countless more. More than half a century of reinvesting in the arts has led to a growing number of Marion citizens following fulfilling and successful careers in all facets of the arts world. In a continuation of Marion's long tradition of embracing the arts, it would be current executive director of the center, Josh Benson, who would use the downtime during the COVID pandemic to champion the initiative of developing large-scale public works of art around the historic downtown area. Starting with a massive block-long mural in Paradise Alley, the public art program known as Marion Murals has led to more than 30 creative large-scale works of art being added to Marion's streetscape, enhancing the town's current renaissance of revitalization with a backdrop of color and creativity. This is Sean Vincelette, and that is one of the many stories of Marion, Illinois.